you think it's the mothers that should encourage their daughters to go to natural science? Because here in Germany, for example, if you go to the universities, still most of that natural science is dominated by men. It hasn't changed too much.
Well, natural science is dominated by men in many parts of the world, but the field researchers very often are women.
In biology, I wonder
yes.
why.
Yes, it's really true. And you know, one of my most wonderful moments was when I was in China, and this young woman came up to me, and she was the first person ever to see a panda give birth in the wild. And she said, you know, when I saw your early geographic movies, and everybody laughed at me because I wanted to study animals, she said, well, Jane did it. I'm going to do it too. And she's now a very respected scientist in China. I love that.
Animals just have been like things, like, you know, at that time. And you changed that completely. In a way, you took away that borderline between humans and the other creatures. And again, the scientific world hated you for that.
Well, it wasn't me. It was me giving a voice to the chimpanzees. It was the chimpanzees so like us that actually made that leap. But I was chosen to be their voice and to take what we learn from them to change people's perceptions. And there's still an awful lot of the old way of thinking left. You know, you could not work in an intensive farm and feel that animals had personalities, minds, and feelings. You wouldn't last. You couldn't do it because it's so evil. I call it evil. It's evil.
So you became member of the ape family and you saw them doing everything they do. But they watched you as well. Have you ever been, I mean, was there an embarrassing moment for you, watched by the apes as well?
Well, not really, but some of my students, one young woman came down one day and she said, it was so hot, and I took my shirt off, and I suddenly saw the male chimp Everett was sitting in a tree looking at me, and I felt so embarrassed. I quickly put my shirt on again. We just had Brexit. Yeah. It was a shock. Do you know what the most frequently asked question the day after Brexit was on Google? What is the EU? Now, why I'm saying that is that successive governments in the UK and in USA have made cut after cut after cut to education in certain levels of society. It's almost as though we want to keep you down because we don't want to hear what you have to say, and we don't want to have to raise your salary to a living wage.
And learning that, how did you manage to be still open-minded and loving towards humanity?
Well, if I can love some chimpanzees, I can love some humans. I don't have to love them all.
What keeps you running?
And I'm sure you have the expression in German, we haven't inherited this planet from our parents, we've borrowed it from our children. We haven't borrowed their future, we have stolen it, and we're still stealing it. And my job is to give people hope that we can change, because if we don't have hope, why bother to do anything?
Meine Damen und Herren, Applaus für Jane Goodall.